Okay, good morning, kids. Today we're going to talk about another hero from the Old Testament. We're going to talk about Joshua. Joshua was the person who God selected and chose to be the leader of the Israelite people when Moses died. So Joshua took over, and through Joshua, God performed a miracle. He caused the Jordan River to split in two so that the Israelite people could cross over on dry land. And Joshua took the Israelite people into Canaan. And God told him, this is your land. But there was a problem. There was a city called Jericho that was in the way. And it was a big, tall city with tall walls. And Joshua had to figure out how to defeat that city before he could move forward. The gates were securely barred because of the Israelite people. Nobody went in and nobody went out. And God spoke to Joshua. And I want you to listen to what God told Joshua to do, because this is not the way most armies fight. Joshua was told by God. God said, see, I've delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its fighting men. March around the city once with all the armed men. Do this once a day for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horn in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast on the trumpets, have the whole army give a loud shout. Then the walls of the city will collapse and the army will go up into the city. A what? To conquer the city, all I have to do is march around the walls once a day for 6 days, and then on the 7th day do it 7 times. And then when the trumpets sound out a long blast, then all the soldiers and fighting men are supposed to give a loud war cry, and the walls will fall down. Those are pretty strange instructions. And so you can imagine a lot of people would say, yeah, okay, thank you, God, but let me attack it the way most soldiers attack a city. Let's do this the way armies do this. But no, that's not what Joshua did. Joshua listened to God. Joshua did what God told him. So he told the son of Nun, well, actually, he's the son of Nun. He called the priests and said to them, take up the Ark of the Covenant and have several priests carry trumpets in front of it. And he ordered the army, march around the city with an armed guard going ahead of the Ark of the Lord. And that's what they did. 7 priests carrying 7 trumpets went forward, blowing their trumpets, and the Lord's covenant followed them. And the armed guard marched ahead of the priests who blew the trumpets, and the rear guard followed. And all the time the trumpets were sounding. But Joshua told the army, don't give a war cry. Don't raise your voices. Do not say a word till I tell you to shout, then shout. Okay? Don't shh. Army, shh. No talking, no shouting. Let the trumpet sound. Don't yell till I tell you to yell. And so he had the Ark of the Lord carried around the city, circling it once, and then they went back to camp. One time, no sound except for the trumpets. He got up the next morning early, and they took up the Ark of the Lord, and the 7 priests with the 7 trumpets went forward, marching before the ark and blowing the trumpets, and the armed men went ahead, and the rear guard followed, and they did this again. Trumpet sounding, no talking, no shouting from the men. And they did it the 2nd day, and they did it the 3rd day, and they did it the 4th day, and they did it the 5th day, and they did it the 6th day. Just like God told them to do. Okay? That's amazing. They listened and obeyed God. Okay? So, on the 7th day, they got up at daybreak, and they marched around the city 7 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the 7th time around, the priest sounded a trumpet blast, and Joshua commanded the army, shout, shout, for the Lord has given you the city, and the city and all of it are devoted to the Lord, and only Rahab and all that are with her will be spared. But guess what? When the trumpets sounded and the army shouted, at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave their loud shout, the walls come falling down. They come tumbling down. because God caused those walls to fall down. Why? Because the Israelite people obeyed him. They marched around at once a day for 6 days and were quiet and didn't shout. On the seventh day, they marched it around 7 times, and when the trumpets blasted and the signal was given, they gave a great shout. And the walls came tumbling down, and Joshua and the Israelite people were able to conquer the city of Jericho. Why? Because of their obedience to God. All right, let's do something fun. Find something you can walk around. Okay? Find something you can do, make a circle around. Okay, go around it once. Act like you're taking a nap. Go around it twice. Act like you're taking a nap. Go around it 3 times. Act like you're taking a nap. Go around it 4 times. Act like you're taking a nap. Do it again. That's number 5. Take a nap. Number 6. Take a nap. Now, it's number 7. How many times do we go around the walls? We go around the walls 7 times. And what do we do when we go around the walls? The trumpets are blowing, and on the 7th time, what do? We give a war shout. So everybody get ready. Go around what we're walking around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now at the top of your voices, yell, God is good. That's awesome. Wasn't that fun? All right. Well, that's what the Israelite people did. They marched around it 7 times, gave the great shout, and the walls came tumbling down just like God promised because they obeyed. So here's our memory verse for the day. Repeat after. I'm going to say it, and then I'm going to have you repeat it with me. We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him. Joshua 24:24. I'll say it, you repeat it. We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him. Joshua 24:24. Well, that's the story out of the Old Testament. It's found in Joshua chapter 6. It tells the story of Jericho and how the walls of Jericho came tumbling down because the people of Israel obeyed God. Even though the instructions sounded kind of strange, the lesson for us is that God tells us to do things in the Bible. And we might go, I don't want to do that. All right, really? You want me to do that? Well, he does. And because he's told us to do those things, we should obey him the way he's told us to do them. We can't add our own rules. What if Joshua and the people of Israel, when they were walking around the walls, decided to do it 8 times, not 7? Would the walls have been tumbling down? Nope. What if they would have shouted when they went around the walls 5 times? Would the walls have come down, tumbling down? Nope. The walls only came tumbling down because when they marched around it 7 times and the trumpets blasted and they were given the signal, they shouted. They would have shouted any sooner or waited and shouted any later and disobeyed God's instructions, the walls would have stood. They wouldn't have fallen because God wants us to obey him the way he tells us to obey him. That's our lesson for today. We will obey God. We need to obey God. Isn't that a cool story? Well, that's our story for this week. We will tell more over the next few weeks. Another video next week. But someday soon we'll get to see each other face to face. Till then, we miss you, we love you, and we hope you have a great week. We love you. Bye-bye.
Good morning, everyone. It's Miss Mary. Hey, kids. I am going to continue talking with you today about the book of Genesis. And remember, the book of Genesis is the very first book in the Old Testament. And we've been talking about the creation. And then we talked about the Garden of Eden and how Adam and Eve disobeyed God and he kicked them out. And then after he kicked them out, they could never go back in there. Then Adam and Eve had children. They had 2 sons named Cain and Abel. And the world continued to have more people and more people. And then the world started getting really bad. People started doing bad things. And God tried to get them to be good, but they just wouldn't listen to him. So he decided that maybe he needed to get rid of everything on the earth and start over. Um, but there's one family that he did find that still worshiped God, believed in God, and the man's name was Noah and his whole family. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight is a man named Noah, and he does something really special. So let's find out what he does. Noah's Ark. We're going to read this book, and this book was published by Creative Publishing. There was a time when God was very unhappy with the people on earth. They never did what he asked. They broke all his laws. They would not ask him for forgiveness no matter what they did. God asked them to change, but they wouldn't listen. So God became angry, and he decided to start over. He would create a whole new world with new people, places, and things, and get rid of all the old ones. There was just one man and his family who God would save, and that man was Noah. Noah and his family worshiped God, and they were kind to each other and to the animals. And God decided to spare them. He said, Noah, I want you to build a giant ark. Fill it with two of every creature there is on earth, one male and one female. Noah began to build the ark. God told him how to build it, and Noah spent many years constructing it. Everyone who saw Noah laughed at the old man building a great big boat on dry land near no water. Noah told them he was doing as God asked. The people laughed more, for they had no faith in God. One day, when the ark was complete, God told Noah it would soon begin to rain and that it was time to collect two of all living things. There were giraffes and rabbits, ladybugs and crocodiles, chickadees and pelicans. Noah made sure he had two of every creature. Then he guided them safely into the ark. The rains began. It poured rain for 40 days and 40 nights. Eventually, the entire earth became flooded. The ark was lifted up by the waters and began to float above the land. Even the highest mountains on earth were covered in water. Only Noah, his family, and the animals on the ark were safe from the flood. Finally, the rain stopped. God was now ready to rescue Noah and all the creatures on the ark. He sent a great wind to dry the earth. One day, Noah saw the top of a mountain. He sent a raven out to see if there was any other dry areas on earth. But the raven found no place to land. After several more days, Noah sent out a dove. The dove returned that evening with an olive leaf in her mouth. Noah knew the earth was beginning to hold life as it had before. After another week, Noah sent the dove out again. This time she did not return, and Noah knew the waters had finally dried. The land was ready to welcome back all of them who were waiting on the ark. God told Noah it was time for him and his family and all the animals of the ark to return to the earth. The ark found dry land, the great door opened, and they all made their way out. Creeping, flying, running, galloping, and crawling, all of the animals left the ark and celebrated their return home. They were excited to start a new life. When God saw all the beautiful creatures back on the earth again, so happy and so peaceful, he made a promise in his heart. He would never again destroy every living thing. God told Noah to look up in the sky after a rainfall, and there he would see a rainbow. The rainbow was God's reminder of the beauty of the earth and the promise that it would never again be flooded. Noah prayed, thanking God for saving him and his family and for the beautiful sign of his promise. Okay, that was our story, and it was about Noah and the ark. And I'm not going to tell you a lot about it because you just heard the story. But basically, it was about a good man. Actually, it was the only good man and his family that God could find left on the earth. So he wanted to save them, and he destroyed everything and everybody else with water. And it rained for how many days and nights? Do you remember? You're right. It was 40 days and 40 nights. A lot of rain can come down in that time, can't it? And it did. It flooded the whole earth. And then it quit raining and it dried up. And Noah sent out 2 different kinds of birds. Do you remember what the 2 birds were? The first bird he sent out was a raven. A raven's kind of like a blackbird. And then the second bird he sent out was a dove. And he sent the dove out twice. The second time he sent the dove out, the dove didn't come back. And so that told Noah that there was dry land. So anyway, the ark lands on dry land, and God opens the door so that all the animals and Noah can come out, and God sees all the animals running around, and they're happy and they're free. And he sees Noah and his family that are happy to be off the ark. And it makes God happy to see all these happy things going on earth. And he told Noah to look up in the sky because God put something special in the sky. Can anyone tell me what that is? You are so right. The rainbow. And a lot of times after a big rain, if you look up in the sky, you'll see a rainbow. And that rainbow is God's promise that he'll never destroy the earth with water again. So anytime you see a rainbow, remember that God put that rainbow there for a reason. And it means something. It means that God made a promise. And he will keep that promise. Our story today came from the book of Genesis. And remember, that's the first book in the Old Testament. And it was the chapters 6 through 9. And this is a great story. And it has a lot of great things we can learn. So I hope you will talk to your mom and dad about it. And maybe they can read the story to you again. Or maybe you can tell them the story. I bet you could. So until next week, I will be thinking about you. I miss you guys. I miss seeing you in class. We will see each other soon. So I love you and have a great week. And I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Hi friends, let's start with a song. What should the song be? I don't know. I've kind of run out of ideas, and so we're going to repeat one that we sang a while back. Are you ready? I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got the peace that passes understanding down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. I've got the wonderful love of the blessed Redeemer way down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart. I've got the wonderful love of the blessed Redeemer way down in the depths of my heart. Where? Down in the depths of my heart to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. And if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on attack. Out! Sit on attack. Out! Sit on attack. And if the devil doesn't like it, he can sit on attack. Out! Sit on attack to stay. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart, down in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. Awesome! If you guys have ideas about songs that you would like for us to sing on Sunday morning in the video, let me know. Have your mom and dad send me a text message or an email or a message on Facebook. Just let me know, okay? So we're going to start a new series today, a new thing that we're going to study. And it's something that a lot of people don't know much about and that they don't talk about. And it's called spiritual gifts. Now, we've talked about the fruit of the Spirit that teaches us different attitudes that we need to have inside of us so that we can produce good fruit, right? Well, we also have something inside of us that we get from God, and it's different gifts that we have that are known as spiritual gifts. So it's not like toys and video games and stuff like that, but it's something that, an ability to be able to do something, a skill, something we're really good at, that are called spiritual gifts. Now, our spiritual gifts are things that help our church. And remember, the church is not the building. The church is the people. So there are lots of different kinds of gifts. So before we start talking about that aspect of it, let's talk about gifts real fast. Have you ever had a time when you were really, really, really excited about what you got for Christmas, and then you were talking to your friend, and then you heard what they got for Christmas, and it seemed like they got something that was a little bit more awesome than what you got? Has that ever happened? Or maybe they got something that you wish that you had had. That can be a real bummer sometimes because we compare ourselves to other people and we think, well, what they have is better than what I have. And we're not content sometimes with what we have. Sometimes, too, it's hard when we go and tell our best friend and we're so excited about what we got. And it's not really that we want to brag, but we kind of do a little bit. And we're so excited about what we got and we tell our friend and they're like, oh yeah, I know that, I got that too. And then sometimes it seems like our gift isn't all that special because our friend has the same exact thing. Have you ever had a situation where you're talking to your friends from school and you find out that different people got a different number of gifts for Christmas? Like maybe somebody got one gift from their parents for Christmas and somebody else got like 5 gifts from their parents for Christmas. And that doesn't seem quite fair because it's all different. And sometimes that can make the person with one gift feel really bad. And it can make the person with 5 gifts sometimes have a big head, think that they're more special. So it's hard when we're talking about physical gifts. It's really hard when we're talking about spiritual gifts too. Because sometimes we have people who might have the same spiritual gift that we do, and we may feel like sometimes that means that we're not as special because maybe it's not fair that they have the same gift that we have. Sometimes we discover that we may only have, a small number of gifts that we're really, 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 really good at, and then we look at someone else who has the ability to do like 5 or 6 or 7 things pretty well. And that might make us feel bad about our two. Sometimes the gifts that we have are not as fancy as other gifts. They're not as prominent. Like, a lot of people may not notice them, because our gifts may be the gifts that are behind the scenes that don't get the public recognition. And so sometimes that can be kind of sad if we're looking at it as, well, my gift should be as prominent and out front, and everybody should see my gift just like they're seeing this other person's gift. And so we need to be really careful when we're talking about gifts, because remember, the gifts that we're going to be talking about come from God, and God has decided what gifts each of us has. God has decided how many gifts each of us has. And some people are going to have more gifts than others. Does that mean that they're a better person, or that they're a better Christian, or that God loves them more? Absolutely not. Some gifts take a lot more time than other gifts. God's pretty smart, and God makes sure that the gifts that you have are gifts that you're going to be able to be good at and you're going to be able to manage. And so it's important that we look at our gifts, and that we look at the gifts that God gives, and we try to evaluate the things that we can do, things that we are good at, and things that we like to do, so that we can figure out what our gifts are and how we can use those to help our church family. And so we're going to start talking specifically about those gifts next week. So what I want you guys to do between now and next Sunday is I want you to think, what are you really good at? What are things that you enjoy, but what are things that you are really, really successful at? It may not be something that is your absolute all-time favorite thing to do, but you may be really good at it. And so let's take a look at these things. Let's think about them and just kind of let those ideas work through your brain for a few days. And then starting next week, we're going to talk about some of the gifts that are mentioned in the Bible that come from God that can help our congregation. Things that you at 6 years old, or at 10 years old, or at any age, can look at and figure out, oh, that's my gift. That's something that I can do. And we'll talk about how we can use that to help our church family. Hey, guess what, guys? Most kids don't even stop and think about what their spiritual gift is. And do you know what else? Most grown-ups don't either. So this is going to be an important thing for us to talk about, not just for you, but for your family as well. This is going to lead to some good conversations, I hope. I love you. I miss you so much. But I know that one of these days I'll get a chance to see you. I love you, great kids. Bye.